Hey guys, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the palettes that I've tried in the last couple of months from worst to best. In these last couple of months, I have 12 palettes to rank for you. There actually was 2 or 3 that I did use only once, so I just decided I'm going to let that go into the next month's rankings video after I've played with them some more. But I do have 12 here that I'm excited to share with you that I tried in the months of July and August. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting off with number 12, the worst eyeshadow palette in my opinion that I tried this last couple of months is unfortunately from Muse Beauty, and it's freaking gorgeous. That's the thing, I get such stunning looks with this. I absolutely love the packaging of this, and this is just like a neutral brown palette. There's also a silver pop and a taupey kind of pop here. The looks that I've gotten, love this. However, it just took a little bit of extra time. The matte's a little bit harder to blend. The shimmers, while gorgeous, you know, I'm using the finger pads. It's just not an amazing palette quality-wise. While I do give the color story a solid 10 out of 10 as well as the packaging, I'm just looking at what I have on my table and the quality just was not there for me, so therefore I can't rank it higher. And it's not necessarily that I don't recommend this, though I would not pay full price for it because the colors are gorgeous and it's not a bad palette per se, but easily of what's in front of me, quality-wise, it was the most difficult palette to work with that I tried. Number 11 is a surprising one for me, but honestly, when I look at this palette, when I pick it up and use it, it doesn't bring me joy. I'm really shocked at how low that this is ranking, but this is the new Tarte Man-Eater Nightfall palette. And you know, with these rankings nowadays, I feel like brands are coming out with better formulas. This is not a bad formula. I just don't love this palette, which is so funny because last year they launched a palette that was one of my all-time favorite fall palettes. I was like, this is one of the palettes of the year. This is the must-have holiday one. So this one's like the sister. They're play off of that since last year's sold so well, and I'm just not into it. I need to reuse last year's again to see if I feel like the quality changed. And the idea of the quality is definitely the same, but I just feel like this year these shimmers that look incredible are very, very messy. They're flaky. They get all over my face. You have to use a finger. If you use a brush, it'll be a disaster. The matte shades are fine. Solid fine. They don't have the most pigment buildup that I like, but for the average consumer, somebody who is like more so of a beginner to makeup, I think you'll like the quality of the mattes. But the shimmers are a hot mess. You can literally see there's just dots of these flakes, literal flakes of shimmers that get all over the face. I just am not jiving with that. As well as like these colorful colors down here. While some are pretty, they're just not amazing quality. I don't know what it is about this year's palette, but you know, the more that I've used it, it's not that I can't get pretty looks with it. I've gotten looks that I've actually liked quite a lot. I'm wearing it right now. I love the look that I have here, so you know, don't let that sway your decision. You can get a good look with this, but I just feel like I have to be very careful with this, with the shimmers, and it's just not that good quality. And I have never really loved Tarte's eyeshadow quality. The one last year, for some reason, I loved it. I don't know if it's the same as this. I need to mess around, but I'm just not into this kind of formula this year. So it's ranking at number 11. So for today's look though, because I'm not gonna lie, like the look, it's pretty. This is such a pretty evening fall smoky glam look. So what I did, I started off with Pounce right here just underneath the brow bone to kind of highlight that, set it. And then I went into Catnap right here to work as my crease color. To add a little bit of depth in the outer corner, I went into Ferocious right here, just a light mid-tone brown. And then I went into Tease, which is the darkest brown. But this palette is missing like a brown in between these two shades, by the way. And this brown is not dark enough for my preferences, but whatever. I have this gorgeous shade Mischief all over my eyelid, which I had to use a finger, but I also have it all over my face because it is just a mess. And I did my eyes before I did my concealer, and I still got fallout all over my face. So while gorgeous, she's messy. You know, you're not going to get like a perfectly clean look with these shimmers unless you wet your brush and use a glitter glue, but I just don't want to have to do that. And then to finish off, I took Fascinate and I used it. It's a gorgeous shade for the highlight, so can get pretty looks, but I'm not jiving with it. It's just how I'm feeling. Number 10, now this one is a very nice one. So now we're on the upturn here. I very much enjoy these palettes. This is just where they fell. So this is a Viseart Petite Fours in Rosea Lotus. So this is one of the newer quads that have launched. No, I mean, this is very pretty. It's just I do have a lot of colors like this from Viseart. Very, very nice quality, but Viseart has this color stories like 20 times over. So this is fine. I got a pretty light look. I do feel like this quad could use a little bit more or a lot more depth. There is hardly any depth. It's a pretty palette, but it doesn't stand out to me. It's quite forgettable. I'm placing this above the Tarte because this has better quality than the Tarte, and I liked the light pink looks that I had, but these sit by my desk. So when I test a new palette, they sit on my desk until it's time to film these monthly rankings, and I can tell you once this goes into the general population drawer with the rest of my collection and with all of my other Viseart palettes, I can tell you I'm probably going to forget about this one. Okay, number 9 is from Colourpop. This is from their Naruto collection, and honestly, it's ranking low-ish because the color story, I don't know, when I see like blue and red together, it doesn't appeal to me. But I will say the quality on this is very nice, especially for Colourpop. And I never thought Colourpop really had very many bad formulas. I think Colourpop's formula represents the price point, but on the good side of it, right? You know, you're not getting luxury quality when you purchase Colourpop, but you're not paying for luxury quality, and I like what this palette had to offer, and I do feel like this actually had a little bit of improvement with the quality. The shimmers were a little bit easier to use, the mattes were quite nice, and even though visually my eyes aren't appealed to this color story, you know, I do really like how they laid it out. I think it makes a lot of sense, and there is a lot of variety here. I did enjoy this palette. Nice color story, even though it doesn't look very pretty to me, because I'm not using like this red row or this blue row. The rest are really nice. This is a good palette, all things considered. I'm not a Naruto fan, so I'm not, you know, the theme doesn't mean too much to me, but it's a nice Colourpop palette. Number 8, this one you might be like, that's kind of low. It's not because it's bad. Just doesn't stand out to me. So this is from Natasha Denona. This is the mini 5-pan that launched recently. This is the mini Starlit. It's very pretty for a nice kind of nude-ish eye look. For me, I just would like there to be a little bit more depth. It's a pretty palette. Every look you do kind of looks the same, so there definitely is not a lot of variety. There's like one look that you can get with this, so you better like that look kind of thing. So it's not my favorite of the Natasha Denona 5-pans. The look you get is pretty, but I just don't like that you can only get one look. I personally would have preferred a little bit more variety in the shades. So yeah, nice palette, nice quality, kind of bland color story, just not much you can do with this. So that's kind of why it's ranking where it's ranking. But if you like this color story, I totally recommend it. The quality is great and the price is right for being able to try Natasha Denona. Number 7, what's pushing this kind of upwards, because there's some fierce competitors at the top that you'll see. I freaking love this color story. So this is the Too Faced Maple Syrup Pancakes, and I initially, before even purchasing this, I wanted to skip on this palette because, you know, Too Faced quality is but then I went into Ulta and I love this color story. There's purples, there's greens, there's neutrals, and truly the color story makes the biggest of difference. I've enjoyed wearing this palette. I've enjoyed using it. Though I do like the fragrance of the Tarte Too Faced palettes, excuse me, this doesn't have too strong of a fragrance. You know, the quality on here, is it spectacular? No, the Natasha Denona is better quality, and all of the brands above it have better quality than this. But is workable. It's fine. I love the color story. The theme is really nice, and there's so much versatility that you can get with this palette in terms of looks. You know, that's one thing I didn't like about the Natasha Denona. Now, I know there's only 5 shades, but still, like, there's other palettes that I can make more looks with that have 5 pans. This one, every look I've done has looked completely different. There's so much I can do with this palette. Neutral, purple, green, blueberry. You can do like a fade, rainbow kind of ish eye. I've enjoyed this. The quality is not going to knock your socks off, but it's workable. And I love the colors. And it's fun. Okay, number 6. What always shoots this brand on the higher end of rankings is the quality. If there's one thing this brand has down, it's the quality. It's an indie brand as well. So Sydney Grace Heaven on Earth palette, this launched during their Christmas in July sale. And you know, I've been so into the green tones, and this covers it. It has those neutrally greenish golds. We have the green colors and then the blues. I'm not a big blue girl when it comes to eyeshadow. I'll do it, you know, to review for review purposes, but I'm never my most confident in blue eyeshadows, so I haven't reached for them, to be honest. But the green shades have been gorgeous. I've used, I believe it was either Jellyfish or Tide Rising for a look all over the eyelid, and it was quite striking. And you know, they have some of the most buttery, smooth, easy to blend formulas. The shimmers glide on like butter with a brush, with a finger. They're not super messy. Just a super solid formula, and it's an indie brand, and the color story is gorgeous. I highly recommend this one. The next one is actually quite close. Number 5. This is another indie brand from the brand Nomad Cosmetics. Now, these two, it's kind of like, they're both really great. I have to say, I think the Sydney Grace definitely has better quality, but bonus points to Nomad. 1, for this packaging. It's also very themed, obviously. October's coming very soon. I love the layout of this, and I'm having a little bit more fun with this color story, so that's why it's above the Sydney Grace, but they do have kind of similar vibes, but this one has a little bit more to offer. It's not quite so blue, but though you do have that option, you do have very similar green tones, but you also have this more like cool tone neutral row, a little bit more versatility here, very solid quality, nice, easy to blend mattes, gorgeous shimmer on the eyelids. I always say this about Nomad, you know, I never really felt that they had incredible quality, but they've definitely improved it. But their color stories, the story behind the palette really makes their brand super special, and I do think that this is worth the money. And I do love the looks I can get with it. In some cases, you know, it might take a little bit of extra work to get the look, but once you have the look, it's gonna be gorgeous. The combination of these colors, not only are they fun seasonally, but you can just get very, very creative with this palette in the best way. And the color story is very, very unique. So I've been loving this a lot. This one is a fun one, somewhat out of my comfort zone. But I don't know, Nomad Cosmetics with their color stories, man, they're getting better and better and more thoughtful with each launch, I swear. Number 4, my beloved Viseart. I mean, I know their palettes tend to be a little on the boring side, but they're so good. When they hit it, they hit it. So this is from their new like 6-pan palettes where there's blush shades as well. So this is Floret Amore. The packaging's a little weird because the packaging would tell you it's orange. Maybe this is a lilac palette, and it's gorgeous. It's very subtle. This is not going to work on like medium to deepish skin tones, which is unfortunate. But I do love the blushy options and the lilacs, and I really love how they stuck with a theme. Quality is really nice, as Viseart is always doing, of course, and it's just a really pretty look. You know, I love a soft lilac look. This gives it to me. High quality, very easy to use, a palette I'm very comfortable with. I think they did a great job with this. Number 2 and 3, I was like, I'm not really sure, but I did end up putting this at 3 since there's a little bit more negatives I have to say about this one. So this is the new yearly Mothership palette in Sunlit Seduction from Pat McGrath. Unfortunately, like, I'm disappointed in this palette. It is gorgeous, nonetheless. I've loved the looks that I've gotten. In particular, this shade right here, I have gotten I did an insane pink look that was very wearable, but it was just my favorite makeup look that I did. It was with this palette, you know, these mothership shades, the Blitz Astral shades. I freaking love them. They're so nice. It's just when this goes into my Pat McGrath drawer, this does not stand out in the line, and this is a very pricey palette. We have so many of these shades within the Pat McGrath line, and this is one of the least versatile palettes, if you ask me, from Pat McGrath. It's just so dang monotone, and for this price point, that's just not acceptable, especially when you look at her earlier lineup of palettes. So much more versatility with those palettes, as well as for the first time, Pat McGrath has a dud in these motherships, and it's this one. It's a flaky mess, so patchy. You're not catching me reaching for this palette. So it's still gorgeous. I still get gorgeous looks with it. But, you know, the brand, I have them on a pedestal. My standards are high. So yes, I've used it some more. I've liked the looks that I've gotten, but I do still feel similar to how I felt in my review, because you know what, sometimes with these Pat McGrath palettes, it takes a little bit for me to warm up to them. I've warmed up to it a little bit more, but not enough to say it's worth it, especially at full price. But I did almost put it at number 2 because I got one of my favorite looks with it. Okay, but I had to put this one at number 2. I wanted to put it at number 3 because it's boring, okay? It's not as exciting to look at as the Pat McGrath palette, but this is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3 palette. Ugh. It's so boring to look at. I didn't need it, but I really like the quality of it. I like the aesthetic of it. I like that I'm able to use these as eyeliners. I will say I do get transfer, okay? I do have hooded eyelids, slightly. I know people say I don't, but I get my eyeliner transfer. So this with a little bit of powder, there will be transfer, but it's fine. It's not terrible. It doesn't ruin the makeup look. This is one of the best mattes I've ever used. So I did compare it to the Makeup by Mario. This is better quality than the Makeup by Mario. Now, Viseart. Okay, then we get in the battle between this and Viseart. Honestly, I would recommend the Viseart palette over this one, but it's smaller, it's more compact in a lot of ways. I do think the Viseart is a better value, but this is competitive with the quality. It really is, and these are just very nice basic shades. So despite this palette not being an exciting color story that especially I needed, you guys know I have all of these shades, this is a useful palette, and I do see myself going out of my way to reach for this palette. This is a great one to keep next to me. I do have my Viseart one very close by that looks just like this one. I think I might, not because I think this is better than the Viseart, but you know, we could give this some use because this one was expensive as well. So I don't have anything bad to say about this. I really don't, other than, yes, with the cream shades, I do get a little bit of transfer, and there's a couple shades that I feel like were missing that I would want when I wanted to complete a look, but this is luxury quality. This is an expensive palette, but I will say it is luxury quality, so very buttery, easy to blend formula. Loved it. You already knew where this was going, right? For number 1, Natasha Denona, I Need a Nude palette. I mean, come on, need I say more? I have loved the looks that I've gotten from this. I've noticed that taking a more simple approach has been the way to go with this palette, like almost less is more. The less colors you add, the better the look is, which isn't something that I have to say about all of the Natasha Denona palettes, but because this is a more monochrome color story, save some time. Put a lid shade, a crease shade, maybe an outer corner shade. That's really all you need to get a beautiful look. And in a lot of ways, these nude tones are just beautiful for a very refined, glimmery nude look. Let the quality shine with each individual shade taking up space on the eyelid. The quality is fantastic. It's not my number 1 favorite Natasha Denona palette, though. I will say that, you know, my glam. You know, that kind of situation, because there are a couple shades that I would like. I feel like there's a couple shades in here that are too close to one another that I would have replaced out. So I would have done things like this much different. But it doesn't matter. It's still a gorgeous palette, great quality. I don't regret a single penny of purchasing this. It's a great Natasha Denona palette, and it really is truly me for these everyday looks. I've been very, very comfortable reaching for that palette. So there we have it. Over the last couple of months, those are 12 eyeshadow palettes that I tried ranked from worst to best. You know, there really were some heavy hitters. Some of these are going to be very competitive at the later part of this year when it comes to that yearly palette rankings. So I'm excited. The most exciting part of the year when it comes to makeup launches is here. So I'm excited to see what else I am holding off, you know. I mean, I can't say if Huda Beauty is coming out with their big palette or not, but normally around October, these last few years, they have launched their big yearly palette. So I'm keeping an eye out for that to see if that's gonna come. But oh, I'm so happy. I feel like I'm drowning in eyeshadow palettes in a way that I haven't all year. I've been loving these launches, so it's very exciting for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for more makeup reviews, makeup rankings, all of that good stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.